Greetings from Jerusalem, the city of peace. I would like to present to you one of the great figures and characters of the Bible, Noah, the 10th generation descendant of Adam, living at the time of the flood. The biblical account of the greatest water cataclysm of our planet, called the flood, is essentially an extraordinary description of God's love. Namely, many believe that the text about the flood is one of the significant proof of God's cruelty and of his readiness to eliminate those who oppose his idea. Such an opinion ignores the fact that God does everything possible to save and not to destroy. Let's put the event of the flood in context. In chapter 3, Moses describes the fall of Adam and Eve, but reveals God's continued care. In chapter 4, there is a description of the first murder. Yet even after this tragic act, God intervenes to prevent a cycle of vengeance. In chapter 5, amid widespread evil, some people like Enoch remain faithful to God. The chapter 6 affirms, "The Lord saw that human wickedness was great on earth, and that all the thoughts of their hearts were always only evil." Chapter 6, verse 6. It is safe to say that life in such conditions has become unbearable for humanity. How to stop the waves of suffering, how to reverse the course of events when all thoughts at every moment are completely infected with the virus of evil. When a surgery is necessary to remove the cause of sickness, the surgeon should do everything to save the patients. And God did everything, showing the solution of escaping through the ark of Noah. The good news in the story of Noah is that when violence, corruption, or even natural disaster happen, God is in the business of saving. He chose Noah to lead his plan, giving the last chance to humanity. In a totally corrupted world, it was essential to select someone special. Genesis chapter 6 verse 9 states, "Noah was a righteous man, blameless among the people of his time, and he walked faithfully with God." God used the catastrophic situation of our planet to turn a new page. He was dreaming in the same way as the prophet Amos. But let justice run down like water and righteousness like a mighty stream. This is written in Amos 5, verse 24. Unfortunately for us, despite God's warning, no one beside Noah's family responded positively. Then the time of judgment came. The text portrays a horrible situation. "And all flesh died. All that was on the dry land died. Only Noah and those who were with him in the ark remained alive." When human beings guarantee our security, anything can happen. But when we walk daily with God, He will take care of everything. He will find a way for us to escape the consequences of evil. He is a God that takes on him the punishment and gives us protection, forgiveness, and peace. The covenant with Noah is a central moment in the biblical narrative, marking a new phase in God's relationship with humanity. The idea of the covenant is essentially the promise of God, His assurance that He will be on our side. In the case of Noah, God gave the promise to never destroy the planet through water again. Therefore, the end of judgment was not the end, but the beginning of hope, of God's promise to stay with humanity in all circumstances. The rainbow is not only a sign that the flood will never happen again. The Bible states, "The rainbow shall be in the cloud, and I will look on it to remember the everlasting covenant between God and every living creature of all flesh that is on the earth." The everlasting covenant reminds us that God has projects of eternity to offer to His children. Some promote the idea of God giving to Noah the 7 commandments as part of the universal covenant. However, this concept has some fragile arguments. First, these 7 commandments are not part of the Tanakh, which means the First Testament. Additionally, if 7 commandments are given to all nations, then we would have all inhabitants divided into 2 groups. Those who follow 10 commandments of God and those who follow 7 commandments given to Noah. Subsequently, there would be 2 categories of commandments, those who must be kept by all, like not bowing down to idols or stealing, killing, and committing adultery. The Bible gives a different answer. All 10 commandments are equally valid. Breaking one of them would be equivalent of not following God's will. Don't forget that God will never judge human beings according to some not well-defined criteria, and His criteria is perfectly clear. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep His commandments. 10 commandments. For this is man's all. For God will bring every work into judgment, including every secret thing, whether good or evil. May the story of Noah, who found grace in God's eyes, inspire each one of us to find in Him love and salvation in all circumstances. May we remember that the ark of salvation is for us, even in the time of judgment. May His eternal covenant of grace guide our hearts until New Jerusalem.